Welcome to Fayetteville, Arkansas, home of the Arkansas Razorbacks. Winter will not go away, and we pine for spring here in the South as we head into March and down the home stretch of the regular season of women's gymnastics in the always tough SEC Conference. Welcome inside Barnhill Arena, the very comfortable home of the Arkansas Razorback women's gymnastics team, where 2 weeks ago they put up their high score of the season, and they might just need to do that again against a very tough and surging Missouri team here today. You can see that the SEC has their fingerprints all over the national rankings. All 8 schools in the Southeast Conference that have women's gymnastics are ranked in the top 25. Our 2 opponents today, Arkansas at number 17 and Missouri just behind them at number 23. Hello everyone, I'm John Roethlisberger, joined by one of the greatest gymnasts ever to put on the leotard, Alicia Sacramone-Quinn. Good to be with you again, Alicia, here on Flip for the Cure, Breast Cancer Awareness Night here in Fayetteville, Arkansas. We got a great matchup. Let's start with Missouri. Last week against Auburn, they had a great competition. They had one of their best scores of the season. For the first time in 2 years, they're ranked in the top 25. However, if they want to come in here today and beat a very good Arkansas team, they're going to have to do it without one of their best gymnasts.
Shauna Miller has been their backbone. Coming in as a freshman, she's been pure domination, putting up scores left and right, showing consistency and being what the team needs. She is the first Tiger to be named SEC Freshman of the Week, and most recently she tied Missouri's vault record with a 9.975 versus Auburn last weekend.
There's going to be a couple very tough scores for Missouri to replace. On the Arkansas side, in the words of head coach Mark Cook, they've had a very up and down season. 2 weeks ago, they had their best score of the year. They followed that up by going to Kentucky and having their lowest score of the year, largely due to a meltdown on the balance beam.
Balance beam is a make or break event. It has to be a lot of struggles for girls out there. You saw big falls, minor details that were just missed. Girls missed connections. They were not getting the start values they needed. They went into this week of training with a tougher mindset. They were going to hit pressure sets, pretending that it was a meet-like competition, so they would come into this competition today with more confidence and that way exude better routines for Arkansas.
Number 17, Arkansas. Number 23, Missouri. We'll have the first vault when we come back. You're watching women's gymnastics. We are pumped up at Barnhill Arena. I got to get Alicia Sacramone-Quinn to sit back down. She is up and she is energized. And we got a great matchup, number 17, number 25 here in Fayetteville. And it looks like it's going to be a good battle. One of the things in women's gymnastics that can get confusing is what's called the regional qualifying score, or the RQS. And these are what the teams use to qualify them into the postseason, specifically into the regional championships, which then will qualify them to the national championships. And basically, the RQS is based on the team's 6 best regular season scores. However, they drop their highest of those 6, and then of the remaining 5, 3 must be an away score. Generally in women's gymnastics, it's tougher to get an away score, so they make 3 of those have to be an away score. They take that average, and that is their RQS, and that's what gets the top 36 teams in the country into the regionals. And this is how the scoring tonight will go. We have 6 gymnasts per each team on each event. Of those 6 gymnasts, the 5 best scores count. And that's very important because if someone does have a fall, they can drop that score. But if there's more than 1 fall, that's when they start to count towards the team score. The home team gets to start on vault, and the away team has to end most specifically on the dreaded balance beam. Scoring in gymnastics can be a little tough. Alicia, try to break down a couple events for us and help these people at home understand the judging.
The first 2 events you guys will see are vault and bars. There are 3 main things in a vault you're looking for. The height off the table is very important, along with having straight body position. And to top it all off, you obviously have to have that stuck landing. Those are the 3 elements that judges are really looking for on uneven bars. It is all about rhythm, flow, and vertical handstands. You wouldn't believe how many deduction judges get from those handstands alone. The next thing you look for is the height on release moves. You're going to see high flying skills where these girls sometimes have blind catches of the bar. And last but certainly not least is that stuck landing again. Judges will take 10s left and right if you continue to move your feet even just a little bit.
We're ready to go. Arkansas will start on the vault, while Missouri will be on the uneven bars. Here's their lineup. One to watch there at the end, Amanda Wellick. We have her highlighted. She's a big scorer. Obviously, those scores at the end tend to build, but she is definitely a good one. And really, the Arkansas vault lineup is great all the way through. They're ranked number 9 in the country on this event, so they're looking to get off to a great start. And their first gymnast will be Samantha Nelson, somebody that you know fairly well, Alicia.
She's a hometown girl. We actually trained at the same gym at Brescians when she was younger, so I'll be excited to see how she does here tonight. Starting off with a strong run. And Yurchenko full stuck. Not the best vault in the sense of height and landing with her chest down, but it was a good way to start off the rotation.
Again, we talked about how those scores will generally build. It's not a hard and fast rule, but generally your best routines and your biggest scores go towards the end of the lineup, so they look to build on this. This is Missouri's uneven bars lineup. We see they start with a very important Becca Johnson first up for them. Very senior laden roster for Missouri on the uneven bars, and it will be important for them to get off to a strong start. Not a great event for them, a decent event, but not one of their highest ranking events. And here we go with Becca Johnson.
Starting with jumping over the low bar, excuse me.
I'd like to see her jump over the high bar.
You would definitely need some ups, basketball style. Nice connection of release move and then immediately to high to low.
Becca's been unbelievably consistent, has not had a miss the entire season on the uneven bars.
Stuck landing. Coach Welker talked about how he wanted to see stuck landings on every apparatus. That is called a ginger. It is a half turn with, it's a layout with a half turn immediately connected to an overshoot.
So a decent start for their first girl up on the bars for Missouri. Now back over to the vault. This is Stephanie Canizero, the senior out of Nesbitt, Mississippi. Samantha Nelson scoring 9.8 for the first girl up. So a very good start for Arkansas.
Strong run to the table. Another Yurchenko full, a little bit less controlled on that landing, causing her to take a step back. A little bit pike in the hips, and the layout coming off the table.
Looked kind of similar to Samantha's first vault.
It definitely did. The entry is good, but then when she comes down, she pikes in her hips and lets her chest drop, and then stands up just a little bit too quickly, causing her to take that step backwards.
Nonetheless, 2-hit vaults for Arkansas out of the gate. Now we go back over to the uneven bars. Caitlin Trevino, the senior out of Ovila, Texas. And this is really important, I think, for Missouri, especially this first rotation, to hit good bars, because as we talked about, Arkansas very good on vault, number 9 in the country on that event. So you can expect them to put up a good score. You don't see generally a lot of missed vaults. So assume Arkansas is going to put up a big number. Missouri does not want to put themselves in a big hole by having mistakes in this first rotation.
That's for sure. It's all about building momentum. So if Missouri can get on a roll early on and then keep it up all the way through the end of the competition, they could be a good fight for Arkansas.
Caitlin is one of 2 gymnasts on the Missouri lineup that actually has moved on to grad school while she's still competing, so high academic standards at that school.
A little bit ducking that head on her handstand. Typically that means she almost cast it over the bar. A little bit pulled in on that ganger, but very nice body form. Transitioning well in this routine. No real big rhythm breaks. Getting ready for the dismount here. A double layout, trying to hold that landing. Close. A little bit piked down, but I thought that was a good routine for her.
Yeah, it was very clean. Where you get into that judgment is the handstands, and it's hard for us sitting here at the table to really know how the judges are evaluating it, but right here, this double eight you talked about, she piked down and took that step. Those steps are something that Shannon Welker, especially on vault, bars, and beam, he said, we need to get 8 sticks out of those 3 events. So far, they're 1 out of 2, so we'll see how that works out for them. Heather Ellswick getting ready to go for Arkansas on the vault. There's Coach Mark Cook looking on. He's been here since the inception of this program, so he's had a chance to see it grow, contribute obviously to its growth, and man, in 12 years they have done quite a lot.
Strong entry into the table. A lot of power on that Yurchenko full. Just couldn't control the landing, but she definitely had a good distance and height off the vault.
Yeah, she blasted off the vault table, and she seemed like she had a similar pike down as the first two girls up, Steffi and Sam, but looked like she didn't need it.
You see in the beginning, you get nice up onto the table. She just pikes down when she really doesn't need to. She's high enough where she can squeeze her butt just a little bit tighter and finish that vault perfectly up straight.
Stephanie Cannizzaro got a 9.775, so we'll see if Heather can build upon that. Back over to the bars, Brianna Conkle out of Fleming Island, Florida. Caitlin Trevino, a 9.75, so a couple 9.7s from Missouri so far for their first two girls up. Definitely those are scores they want to start moving above that 9.8.
A blind change full to direct Ginger. Just a little bit of form breaks here and there from Brianna. It is a nice flowing routine, but those are just little polishing things that Coach Walker definitely want to see being fixed towards the end of the season. Another double out. That time it was stuck.
Nailed it. That's 2 out of 3. Brianna is your other grad school student for the Missouri Tigers, along with Caitlin Trevino.
Building momentum with those skilled called Giants to a 2 flip in the layout position, and she sticks it.
That looks like it very well could be their first score over a 9.8 for Missouri, trying to keep pace with Arkansas's vault rotation. Leah McMoyle is the next vaulter up for Arkansas. Heather Ellswick, a 9.775 for her vault. So 2 9.775 for Arkansas. Certainly, they are capable of scores much closer to that 9.9.
Another Yurchenko full, not looking for that stuck landing. We still get a little bit of hops, but these girls have a lot of power, and that's something that is essential for being a good vaulter.
These vaults almost look like carbon copies of one another, Alicia.
They do. If all they need to work on is for the postseason is making sure they open up a little earlier to see that landing so they can stick it. Rocking the eye pink for Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
I forgot my eye pink. I knew I forgot something at the hotel. Conkle put up a 9.8, so the first score of 9.8 or higher for Missouri, and that leaves Laura Kapler up next.
A little bit short on that handstand. Nice pirouette. Overshoot.
We talked about Shauna Miller, the star freshman who is out for this competition. Laura steps in for her on this event.
A little bit closer to bar in that dismount. She controls it, takes one small step backwards, but coming in as a replacement, she did a great job.
Yeah, and that's a tough spot to be. And just to put it in perspective, Shauna put up above a 9.8 last weekend against Auburn. So theoretically, that's the score she's trying to match. And we'll see how close she gets with that routine. Leah McMoyle got a 9.8 for her vault. Paige Zaziski is up next for Arkansas. Paige is out of Chesterfield Township in Michigan. She had a heavy workload as a freshman, competed all around in every meet, 7 times for the Razorbacks this year.
Yurchenko full small hop. Her arms are a little too wide on the table for my liking when it comes to vaulting. It takes away from the height you get off the table.
Tell us what you're talking about right here, Alicia, on this replay.
The run is great coming in. Her hands are very wide on the table. I like to see them at least shoulder length apart, and she was a little bit further than that. And that just affects the way the angle of your shoulders coming onto the table and then the height of your flip coming off of the table.
So the uneven bars again for Missouri. Having a good uneven bar rotation. Laura Kapler put up a 9.725. This leaves Miranda Eubank up next. 5th spot for the Tigers.
Solid handstand position. A very high pike Jaeger to direct overshoot.
That's the skill she had trouble with last week against Auburn. She missed that release move. Not tonight.
A little bit short on that handstand. A double front She almost picked that foot up and decided she wanted to put that back down.
I give her a stick, Alicia. I got my judge's pencil out, and that is a stick in my book.
I'll give it to her, too.
Tough dismount to stick, too.
It's a blind change, too. It's a blind landing. It's a double flip frontwards. Starts to move it, and then puts it right back down.
She was eyeballing that bar as it went past her head a little bit, too, there. I know those dismounts tend to be closer, but...
You don't want to hit the moneymaker, so you're just like, please don't get any closer.
Made me catch my breath just a little bit. All right, last up for Arkansas on a vault, Amanda Wellick, and she's following a wonderful 9.9 from Paige Zaziski, so trying to put an exclamation point on this rotation.
End it with a bang. Let's see what she does. Oh, I would say that's a stick.
A good finish for Arkansas, regardless of whether they give that a stick. Certainly it was as good, you would think, as Paige's vault, which means it should be up in that 9-9 area.
A good body position and slight pike down and a baby step backwards in the foot, but I think the judges will give it to her.
Maybe a little half-tenth slide of the feet. So Missouri hanging in there on bars, trying to keep pace, however, at the end of this rotation with a couple 9-9s potentially. Becca Schugel, who was our all-around champion last week against Auburn, finishes out this bar rotation.
Blind change a little bit slowed down there. Ooh, nice by Yeager to immediate overshoot. She fingertipped that. There's something about just reaching a little bit longer and hoping for those go-go gadget arms.
It's tough when you barely catch her release to go right into that overshoot too, I would imagine.
No doubt. Great landing.
That's 4 stuck landings. A little sloppy though, it seemed like throughout that routine, which I imagine she's gonna get nicked a bit.
The judges will definitely get her for execution. A little bit short here in handstands, loss of form in the blind change full before the direct connected dismount. But as a freshman, you want to come in and nail routines like that. Even if it wasn't your absolute best, get the not so great ones out of the way before postseason.
Hey, you're anchoring your team in a tough top 25 SEC matchup, and you're a freshman. That's a tough spot to be in as we see the head coach for the Missouri Tigers, Shannon Welker. And what's he thinking right now, Alicia? After one rotation, they had 4 stuck landings. However, they had some small breaks.
I bet he's pleased with the way his girls have competed. They went in and aggressive. There wasn't any really big major mistakes, which is always something that coaches are very happy about. I think he will be a little bit displeased with the loss of body position because he knows his girls are stronger than that and they can handle doing those handstands and pirouettes the way they should.
Mark Cook getting the bars ready on what will be his second rotation for the Arkansas Razorbacks. And one thing that seems to be a common theme between both of these coaches, Mark and Shannon, is that they talk about the little things at this point of the season. You know, they're both with their lineups that they'll probably have at the end of the year, their championship lineups, we like to call them. So right now they're just tweaking, like getting the stuck landings, maybe feet together a little bit on a release move, things like that.
When I was training, my coach called it polishing. You need to polish your gymnastics. So we just made sure that every small, minute detail was even executed to the best of its ability.
We see the scores up there. I think we have a little tweak to one of those Missouri scores. I think it's going to be a little bit closer than that score indicated. They're watering down the grips over there, getting ready to go on bars. All right, well, that is rotation 1. The first quarter is over on the strength of Amanda Wellick's 9.925 on vault. Arkansas has an early lead, but it's exactly that. It's early. Welcome back to Barnhill Arena, and now we got the final tally after one rotation. You can see that Arkansas holds a slight lead, 0.275, if I'm doing my math correctly, over the Missouri Tigers after one rotation. And I think that's pretty good, Alicia. You know, that's not a great event for Missouri, but that was a great event for Arkansas. So it's less than a 3/10 lead, something very manageable for the Tigers.
Missouri's going into one of their best events, too. Vault has been very strong for them. If they continue with this momentum, they could give Arkansas a run for the money all the way through to the last event. Yeah, it's going to be close after this next one. And some of the highlights after that first rotation for each of these teams. Here's Wellick on vault. Huge vault for Wellick. A nice 9.925. Slight step back on that landing, but the judges were pushing it with that score, I think. It could have been higher. And here's Conkle with a 9.8 for the Missouri Tigers on bars. Leading the bar rotation for Missouri. She put up some nice solid skills, didn't really have any form breaks, and just landed the routine the way coach wanted.
So they are keeping it close. We see the Arkansas Razorbacks chalking it up to get ready to go on the bars. Missouri hopes to return the favor on the second rotation and flip that lead as they'll get the chance on the vault, and the Razorbacks move to the uneven bars. Here in Fayetteville, number 17, Arkansas holds a .275 lead over the visiting Missouri Tigers. Coach Shannon Welker's got a few last-minute bits of advice for his team as they get ready to go on the vault. And the interesting part of this lineup, Alicia, I think, is the lady who's anchoring this team, Allison Heimseth. She is in for Shauna Miller, who rolled her ankle. We talked about that early in the competition, and that's big because Shauna put up a 9.925 in that area last week. A big score nonetheless, and this is going to be tough shoes to fill for her.
It's a lot of pressure on her. I think she'll deliver, but it is definitely a lot of pressure to fill, like, your ringer spot.
It is, and we see Kennedy Harris getting ready to go first up. I think it puts that much more pressure on the first 5 in the lineup to really knock it out of the park.
You're going, you know you have to hit, and you're doing it for your team. Slight leg separation onto the table. A few steps back on that landing. Not exactly what Coach Walker is looking for. The girl had some power, though. You have to give it to her.
Yeah, big steps on this landing, too.
Onto the table. Leg separation. Laid out full. Almost got straight body position the whole way. Piked her chest and butt a little bit, and then took those 2 steps back. Won't be the best score for her.
Kennedy has a high of a 9.775 this year on that offense as we move over to the bars, and here is the uneven bars lineup for Arkansas, anchored by Paige Zaziski. We saw her do an outstanding vault. The freshman, again, anchoring the lineup. It's a lot of pressure on the young athlete as Kiara Glover, the junior out of Oklahoma City, gets ready to go.
5'9". That is not something you see very often in the gymnastics world.
No, but if you're going to be tall, bars is one of the events where it looks very nice if you can swing.
She does have nice lines, so she is accentuating her height right now and flowing with nice rhythm. Great smooth transitions from high to low and low to high. Stop, double back from immediate blind change full.
Nice job from Kiara. Another look at the dismount, Alicia.
A little bit late on that turn, still manages to do the dismount and stick it beautifully.
Kiara out of Dynamo Gymnastics in Oklahoma City. She actually was coached in club by a gymnast I competed against in college. That's how far back we both go. Dennis Harrison, outstanding club coach. One of the best clubs really in the country, produces a lot of great collegiate gymnasts. Doing a nice job there. Heather, we're getting ready to go over here on vault. This is Caitlin Trevino, rather. Getting ready to go. Trying to build on only a 9.675 for Kennedy Harris. You cannot be in those 9.6s if you want to win this meet.
Those steps on the landing definitely killed her. I've seen her compete with that vault with straight legs, so I'm not sure if she was supposed to bend them as a watering down tactic to try to stick, but I don't know if that's what Missouri was looking for.
Yeah, no, I'm guessing not, and this may come into play in her start value. Everyone generally starts at a 10, and this one may not because it was tucked. Can you see anything that might have thrown her off as she came onto the table?
The entry was performed very well. She actually didn't, misstep or come too close. And she did the half with the bent legs at the right time. So I think maybe they were just watering down to keep it safe. Yeah,
and gymnastics is such a fine-tuned event. Any little thing that you feel like you're off can just make you change your vault, and may just have done that there. Heather Ellswick getting ready to go for Arkansas on bars. Kiara Glover put up a 9.775 to start this rotation for the Razorbacks.
Nice handstand to blind change, straddle Jaeger. Moving from high to low. Coaches are allowed to stand there and spot as long as they aren't actually touching the athlete. There is no penalty for that. Being there for their safety is A-okay. Slight pull in on that double back dismount, but she stuck it. She has some very good depth perception.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to open the dismount early when you're close to the bar.
Not gonna lie, that gave me a hot flash.
Keep it in control, Alicia. Here we go, take another look at it.
A little bit short in the handstand. Nice lines on the giant. And just here, she pulls her shoulders in. Instead of bringing her toes out, away from the bar, she pulls in with her shoulders. And caused her a little bit close, but didn't affect her landing whatsoever.
Laura Kapler third up for Missouri, following only a 9.575. So Missouri needs to be careful right here. Things could come off the tracks quickly.
Yurchenko full, hop back. Pretty well executed. She had a little bit too much of a shoulder angle coming off of the table. That caused it to be a little bit lower than what she actually does. The round off back handspring, the angle was right there on the shoulders before she started the flip on the second end.
Missouri is the number 20th ranked team on vault in the country, and so far through the first two, not really showing that, but again, missing Shauna Miller in a 9.975. I misspoke earlier that she got last week, so we'll see. Got a couple more vaulters to go. On bars, Erin Fryer, the junior, another tall gymnast, 5'7", out of Westland, Michigan. Ellswood put up a 9.725.
Once an athlete salutes, they have 30 seconds to mount the apparatus. So some girls take a little bit longer, some take a little bit less. It's all about personal preference. Erin really uses her nice long lines on uneven bars. This has been an exceptional routine for her thus far.
Nice handstand.
Gaining momentum for that double layout dismount, and she sticks it.
All of 5'7" doing a double layout. That's not easy, but she nails it.
Coach Cook has to be happy with that bar routine.
Wow, she was working in the air too, it looked like.
It takes a lot of power and speed to get that kind of height off the bar. Strong handstands. See a little bit feet flexed underneath the bar. She is so tall, hitting them down on the ground and the mat may be a concern. So, other than that, that was a nice bar set.
Yeah, people at home are probably like, 5'7", that's short. But man, not in a double layout, it's not short. Angie Kern, next up for Missouri on vault. Need a big one here.
Yurchenko land on half. A little bit late on the turn. It is a blind landing, which makes it very difficult to stick. She did take maybe 1.5 steps on the landing, but she definitely had some height coming off the table.
9.825 for Laura Kapler, her teammate just before her. One more look at it.
A nice strong run. The layout half, blind. Her head is actually still trying to come around as her feet are hitting the mat. Makes that a difficult vault to stick.
Tough landing when you can't see the mat your feet are going onto until they're already there. Back over to the bars. This is Stephanie Canizero. We saw her go on vault where she put up a 9.775. Stephanie is someone I've seen compete over the years. She comes out of Gym Stars out of Memphis area. A great gym there as well. Jean and Donna Alexin, two outstanding coaches, and I live in Tennessee, so I've had a chance to see her at many a state and regional meet.
Nice floated routine. Great release move. Long and quick double layout. If she brought her toes up a little bit higher on the dismount, she would have been able to stick that landing without that one little hop, but that was a superb bar routine. That is called a Hindorf. It is, you put your feet on the bar, you do a little roundy round, you shoot up, let go, and catch the bar.
Is a roundy round a technical term, or did you just make that one up?
That's what we say in the Olympics, roundy rounds.
Roundy round. Nice job for Stephanie. Erin Fryer, meanwhile, who just went before Stephanie, put up a career best 9.9. So things going well for Arkansas. They need to go a little better for Becca Schugel and the Tigers.
That was a little bit better vault that Coach Welker was probably looking for. Controlled, high, wasn't the highest or furthest vault you've ever seen, but she controlled the landing. Is that something Coach Welker was talking to his girls about?
Yeah, much cleaner on the landing there, just a small step. Angie Kern put up a 9.8. Becca Schugel hoping to build on that. They have one more gymnast left to try to pump that team score for Missouri on the vault. Over onto the bars again, Amanda Wellick, the sophomore, gets ready to go. We saw her anchor that vault rotation with a 9.925. That would look really good on the bar score sheet.
Release move going from low bar to high bar, and then immediately from high bar to low bar. By connecting these skills together, the girls actually receive bonus points, and the bonus points help raise their start value. Everybody starts from a 9.5. The more bonus points you have, the easier it is to get to a 10, which is the ideal score we are looking for. Oh! rough landing.
You could kind of see that coming. And like the double layout from Cannizzaro, it went away from the bar, but when you're flipping forwards, it's a little tougher, right, Alicia?
There's a point when you're going for a double front dismount where you need to kick your heels above the bar. She didn't have that kick whatsoever, which is unfortunate because it was a nice bar routine. She kicked, but not enough to get that double front around.
So one person's misstep, possibly another's opportunity. And we talked about the importance of this young lady anchoring the lineup, Allison Heimseth. Now remember, they've already put up a 9.6 and a 9.5 in this rotation. They want to count this score, which means it needs to be above a 9.6 or 9.7. This is so important early in the meet.
Straight to the table, Yurchenko full, a little bit piped down and a step back, but taking the spot for the ringer is a well-performed vault.
Taking the spot for the ringer is always tough. One more look at it here.
Onto the table a little bit. Her hands were a little too close together, in my opinion. It's hard to find that sweet spot when you're blocking off the table to get the height you need to finish that laid out with a full twist.
So as long as Allison's score can be above a 9.575, she will help the team score for Missouri on vault. Last up for Arkansas, Paige Zaziski, the freshman out of Hunt's Gymnastics in Michigan. Really done an outstanding job for this Arkansas team this year. Just to give you an idea of what is a good score and what is maybe not such a good score. 9.9 or higher is considered great. If you're in that 9.8 area, consider it good, consistent. 9.7 or less, that needs work is a kind way to put it. But in the SEC, if you're scoring 9.7s, you're not going to win. And just to give you an idea of how important those 9.9s are, the SEC champion and the national champion last year averaged a 9.9.
That was a sky-high straddle Tkachev. Paige is a very aggressive bar worker. I like that about her. Everything is sharp and quick. She doesn't waste time or move slowly in the event that needs the momentum. Just like that double layout, it actually went higher on the second flip. That's how that's supposed to be done.
What a great addition to this Razorback team. Coach Mark Cook loves her energy and her spirit. She came in a little reserved, but she's opened up since, and even as a freshman, starting to become a great leader for this team.
The double layout dismount we'll see here again. The first flip, second flip stays in spot and almost raises a little bit, allowing her to come down perfectly straight body and stick and know exactly where she is.
Smokes it. Like we like to say, Alicia, like a toothpick in a club sandwich. Nails the double layout.
Coach Cook.
He's got to like it. They did have a big fall, but nonetheless a good bar rotation for Arkansas. Missouri trying to hang in there. We are at the halfway point of a big SEC matchup, top 25 matchup. A lot more to come here from Barnhill in Fayetteville when we return. We have two events behind us, and Arkansas has extended that lead to .65 over the Missouri Tigers, the 23rd ranked Missouri Tigers, and that is a nice lead because they are going to the balance beam next, Alicia, and we know, we talked about it in the Open, that is an event that has been the nemesis for Arkansas this year, last week especially against Kentucky, which it really cost them the meet. Now, if they can get through this event, they can get this win.
Beam has been plaguing them, and you know, Missouri didn't really deliver on vault, so they have extended their lead, but they still have the very mental balance beam next, so it will be interesting to see how they pull through.
Some of the highlights from this last rotation. On the vault, Laura Kapler with her 9.825 lead.
That was probably one of her best vaults that I've seen her do. Is high, a little bit piked, but very controlled on landing.
And with the exclamation point and a career high, Paige Zaziski on bars.
This bar routine was all deserving of that 9.925. I've never seen such a beautifully performed double layout dismount.
Rotation number 3 is next, and we will get a chance to see Amanda Wellick, the 2014 SEC Freshman of the Year, on floor coming up next. Back in Barnhill Arena, this is where I need to take a deep breath. the first two events in women's gymnastics. It's like a race, and we have the scores. Obviously, we talked about them, 0.65 lead for Arkansas over Missouri, but no lead is safe when the balance beam is next, and that is what is next for actually the next event for Amanda Wellick. We talked about floor for her, but she's actually going to be going to the balance beam with her teammates, and they have a good beam lineup. You can see right here, Amanda Wellick will be the #2 gymnast up, the sophomore who qualified as an individual to the NCAA championships last year, which is a huge accomplishment. Her team did not make it that year. They have made it for the 6 years prior to that, but not last year, but she went for them, and she'll be one to watch on the balance beam.
Arkansas coaching staff was really stressing consistency this past week in training, making their girls hit pressure set routines. If they didn't make their pressure set routines, they had to make 10 routines following that. So upping the numbers, trying to build confidence to make sure when they come in tonight, they are going to get on the beam and not doubt themselves in the slightest.
Erin Fryer, who put up an amazing 9.9 the last rotation, talking to Coach Samantha Snyder, who's the main coach on beam for the Arkansas Razorbacks, and you can see last week they scored a 47.825, and that's devastating. There's not too many meets you could go to in the country that if you put up that number, you're going to end up winning the competition, and you will never win a meet in the SEC if you put up that number. And I watched Arkansas warm up balance beam a little bit, Alicia, and we talked while they were warming up, and the thing we kind of talked about was, has this event gotten in their head? Because I saw one of the gymnasts go and miss a warm-up pass, which you and I both know warm-ups really don't mean anything, but when the beam has been your nemesis and you have a little trouble in the warm-up, does that doubt start to creep in even before you get out there and raise your hand for the judges?
I would like to say that you don't let that doubt creep in, but it does. You're going to be standing there, especially right before the judges salute you, and you're like, oh gosh, all I want to do is hit this routine and put up a solid score. Erin actually struggled on beam last week, so she's looking for a little bit of redemption here tonight. On balance beam, you're looking for a mixture of grace with jumps and leaps and turns, and you're looking for high amplitude with the power, and you're going to see a lot of connection skills called series, just like a back handspring layup step out, which she performed right there. She struggled on that last week, but she seemed to put that behind her. See your teammates on the side cheering her on, giving her some words of motivation. Starting off the beam lineup is never easy. That was actually my role when I competed as well. You need to be solid and you need to be someone they can count on. Erin is proving her worth here tonight. Hitch kick to gainer full dismount, and she sticks it.
And I gotta think for Arkansas, that's just like a deep sigh of relief. All right, we got one, and we got that proverbial ball rolling on our toughest event. It's gotta be huge to hit that first routine.
You're like wiping the sweat off your brow. You're like, whoo! All right, that's done. Floor's next, so fun. And now you just have to wait for your teammates to go and hit their routines just like you did. 5
more beam routines. Really, they only need 4 out of those 5 to hit. Certainly, they'd like to hit them all. Good start for Arkansas on the balance beam. Now we go over to floor in Missouri and keep an eye on that second gymnast up, Kennedy Harris, who's outstanding on this event. Now, this is important. If Missouri wants to close the gap without help from Arkansas, they have really, honestly, got to be just about perfect.
Perfect on floor exercise means high tumbling, controlled landings, full 180-degree splits that show the amount of amplitude you can get off the floor, and of course, staying within the white lines.
Angie Kern, our first gymnast, a sophomore out of Columbia, Missouri.
Floor is always my favorite event. You get to showcase your personality a little bit more. You get to choose the music that you perform to, and you get to dance. And on Friday night, everybody just wants to dance. Especially Angie. She's hitting it right now.
You got to have fun, and it seems like the ones that score big on this event are the ones that are having a good time.
We've covered Missouri 3 times in our broadcast, and this is the most I've seen her showcase her dance. She is really working it tonight. I think she's having a lot of fun out there. The dance before the tumbling passes is always used to catch your breath. You have a minute 30 of dance, nonstop tumbling, and you're moving that whole time.
And Missouri has to know, and it wouldn't surprise me if Shannon Welker, head coach, told them, look, don't hold back, let's go out, you gotta let it fly. If you want to put up a big number and you want to push Arkansas, you gotta let it all hang out.
She fought for that last landing. She was a little bit corkscrewed getting around into the floor after that front laid out 1.5, but she fought for it and she made it count. The first tumbling pass was a round off back handspring double back. Well controlled on that landing. I think Coach Welker will be pleased with that routine.
Good start for Missouri. There's assistant John Carney giving her a pat on the back. We go back over to the balance beam. And this is Amanda Wellick getting ready to go on this event. She's going to follow a career high for Erin Fryer of a 9.8.
Coming off of bars where she had a little mishap on the dismount. Beam is a tough event to follow after that. It is very mental, and you need to have that amount of confidence where you are not doubting yourself up there at all.
Correct that Erin Fryer's score is a season high of a 9.8. Nonetheless, a very, very good start score.
Front aerial to straddle jump. That connection right there will give her bonus points. Back handspring. Oh! Just couldn't get that layout around.
And here we go. Can they keep it together? This is where things fell apart last weekend. One miss leads to another.
After this point, when you get back on the balance beam, you cannot give the judges any more deductions. You already gave them 5/10 with the fall, but you still have to finish your routine strong, so you're not giving them another 5 in case you fall again, or you never know what can happen up there. That's why you really need to stay focused and turn the page when something bad happens. Strong finish, a round off double full, stuck the landing. Unfortunate on the back handspring layout series. You could see her frustration as she was getting back onto the beam after she fell. A front aerial straddle jump. This is a difficult connection because you are flipping, landing on one foot, and it is a blind landing. The back handspring layout where her back foot wasn't on, and she dropped her right shoulder before she could square her hips on the beam to make sure she stayed on.
You got to wonder if in the back of the minds of the Arkansas Razorbacks, they're saying to themselves, here we go again. Someone's going to have to stop the bleeding for them on beam as we go over and we get a chance to see Kennedy Harris.
Kennedy is a very powerful tumbler. I've enjoyed watching her the last couple weeks and see how each week she is progressing and getting a little bit more polished, a little bit higher in her tumbling. Getting ready for the first tumbling pass. Very high, round up back handspring, double pike.
That's as good as you can do, a double pike.
In my personal opinion, a double pike is actually easier than a double tuck. The way you are flipping in the air, the pike position actually helps you rotate around faster.
I think you're crazy personally, but I'll go with it.
Ask anybody. We all feel this way, John. Get on the bandwagon.
Erin Kern rather, from Missouri, the first girl up, put up a 9.65.
Second tumbling pass, a punch front layout, punch front full. Missouri is really working it tonight. Trying to make up for those points they lost on vault, getting him back on the floor exercise. All that remains is her last tumbling pass. A round up back handspring double tuck, and it's good.
One thing that Coach Welker said that he was happy with coming into this meet is they've had back-to-back weeks of consistency. Maybe not perfection, you rarely get that in gymnastics, but they've started to get more consistent, and that's what he's hoping to carry in to this week, this competition.
A huge double pike. She opens up, she sees the floor, she knows exactly where she is in the air, and that is ideal when you're doing that tumbling pass. A connection pass there, the front layout to punch front full. And the last tumbling pass was another sky-high double back. well controlled on that finish, wrapping up a impressive floor set for the freshman.
The freshman Paige Zaziski, again, a tough spot to be as a freshman. You're going up after a miss. She has been lights out today at this competition. She has put up above a 9.9 in all of her routines.
Performing a switch side there.
Currently our leader in the all-around as well with a 19.825, has command of that potential title.
Back handspring layout. Slight balance check, but she fought for it and stayed on. Switch loop straddle quarter. At this point, it's about lowering your heart rate down, trying to stay on the beam. Sometimes when you get a little too much adrenaline, you're performing all your skills above it and you can't seem to really solidify any landing. Connection to front toss, 2-foot landing. Arkansas has a lot of difficulty in their beam routines. They're not shying away, even though they've been struggling. They're still performing those difficult skills. Very nice landing. A round off 1.5 stick. Line landing, nailed it. After a fall, that's pretty good.
Yeah, not bad. She went up and did the job she had to do. Maybe a little bit of wobble right here on this layout, but other than that, Alicia, pretty clean.
She just doubted herself. All she needed to do was stand up onto her back foot and she would have been right on the beam, but I think she was just a little nervous considering what had happened to her teammate previous. Landing, slight hop, great job.
Mom loves it. Moms always love it, though. I mean, really, they do. But that was a great routine from Paige. Certainly, she keeps rolling. Probably will stay in the lead in the all-around as well.
My mom never looked that jazzed. She was always so nervous.
Laura Kapler follows Kennedy Harris's 9.8 for Missouri on floor.
First tumbling pass coming up. Front 1.5, back handspring, last step out. Didn't get the best punch in the connection, but she still managed to get it around.
Again, this is a big opportunity for Missouri. Arkansas has already had a major break on the balance beam. They need to knock this event out of the park. One thing we haven't talked about.
I'm surprised she got that around. The way she landed to connect the second skill was a little bit crooked and short.
One thing we haven't talked about yet much this evening was the fact that since Missouri has entered the SEC, they have yet to get an in-conference win. And Coach Shannon Welker said it's not their main focus, it's not the biggest goal they have. This sport is unique in that fashion, and that scores kind of trump a lot of those wins and losses. However, it's something they still want. And every time they enter a floor, they've been close. And this one looks like it might come down to the end, but they've got to start hitting and they got to hit well.
A little bit low on that double back last pass. You get tired by the end of that floor routine. You just got to make sure when you are going to set for that skill, you are standing up tall and making sure you know where you are in the air.
Yeah, she looked like she was struggling to make a few of these passes around. Let's take a look at her second pass here.
She just landed. It was almost like she punched with straight legs, which always makes you nervous on floor exercise. Kicked out a little bit late, didn't get enough height, but finishing the routine and not making any major mistakes is what Missouri's trying to aim for right now.
So Samantha Nelson next up, the sophomore. She's following Zaziski's 9.7. We talked about the good scores versus the mediocre scores, and a 9.7 is kind of on that precipice of, you know, not really helping the team win. So we're going to need a big one here from Samantha.
Slight balance check. Hamming it up a bit up there. It's always nice to see a smile on balance beam, especially when usually the girls are so focused.
I feel like a smile and balance beam is kind of like a smile and going to the dentist. They don't usually go together.
Interesting connection to wolf jump to back layout step out. This is coming up will be A difficult connection here. A punch front, immediate jump. That jump actually helps you stay straight on the beam. It forces you to think of to the next skill instead of thinking of the landing for the punch front. Finishing the beam routine here. Round off 1.5. Slight hop on the landing. Strong set for Arkansas.
Again, Arkansas doesn't need to be perfect to win this competition. They just need to stay on, but they're not quite nailing it, as we can see, giving away a little bit here and a little bit there.
They are their own worst enemy in this case. They can't let balance beam get into their heads. They need to continue doing routines and putting up scores like they did in the first 2 events on vault and bars and not let this affect them.
Back over to floor, Brianna Conkle, the senior, had a lot of trouble last week on this event against Auburn.
She did struggle last week, but she does have some difficult tumbling. She is a twister. She does a lot of twisting skills, connected, not connected, and that's something that I like to see. First tumbling pass, a front layout punch, front full. Had that one under control. Switch side straddle full, filling some requirements she has. Taking the time here to breathe before her second tumbling pass, which, if I'm not mistaken, will be a round off back handspring. 2.5 twist, 1 flip, 2.5 twist, line landing. Let's see if she gets it around. Nice set. A little bit short getting around, but she stayed on her feet.
A lot better than last week.
One pass remains. Teammates giving her some little oomph to get her going. Just short on the front handspring, Rudy, which is a layout with a 1.5 twist.
I was amazed she could stay on her feet right there. That was so short of the twist, but great fight. Just trying to squeeze every little tenth out of what could have been a disaster.
That just shows how strong she actually is. The first pass was very well performed, a front layout punch, front full. The second tumbling pass was the 2.5 twist, where she got it around, was just a little bit short on the landing, but stayed on her feet.
Laura Kapler, her teammate, put up a 9.675 right before her.
She did like a 1 1/4. She just needed another quarter to get all the way around. In my opinion, her set after the front handspring was just not there.
Get another chance to see Kiara Glover getting ready to go on the balance beam. She put up a 9.775, leading off for the Razorbacks on bars. She's really struggled the last 3 meets they've had. She's had major mistakes in all 3 of those meets. So talk about a situation where it puts a little pressure on the young lady, having to come in here after a miss, and really they need her to hit.
You have to be able to forget the pass. And for Arkansas, it's just not happening on balance beam. I don't know what is plaguing them to make these mistakes where they're hitting in practice. The thing is, they come to the meet and then they make these uncharacteristic mistakes.
Yeah, she was not even close. That looked like more like a dismount than something she was trying to land back on the balance beam.
And she knew it too. The moment she did that first skill, she was not on the beam.
If there's any consolation to this rotation for Arkansas, is that Missouri's not putting up huge numbers on the floor. Conkle just put up a 9.525 for her floor routine, so that lead may hold despite these mistakes.
Going to finish the routine. Oh, nice. A nice dismount. Finish strong after a not so great start.
I tell you what, I really appreciate the positivity, not just in the gymnasts here in this competition, but if I had a mistake and my teammates wanted to high-five me, I'm not sure if I'd be so willing.
Right there, not even close. The first skill, she dropped her chest so early that she wasn't kicking over the top of her head. She kicked around the side on the aerial, causing her to be completely off the side when she went to go for her connection skill.
the sophomore Allison Heimseth, who I think was the MVP on the vault, to put up a 9.75, filling in for Shauna Miller in their second rotation. They need a big one here. Another 9.775 would help them quite a bit.
First tumbling pass. Round up handspring double pike. Athletes are allowed to use the extra matting just for a little extra cushion. This time in the year, your body's breaking down a little bit. Doesn't hurt to have that mat there for a little extra padding. Round off 1.5 punch layout. A little bit uncontrolled. Taking that final breath for her last tumbling pass. Double tuck, controlled step out. Another posted up score for Missouri.
Another hit, and hits seem to be at a premium right now here in this competition.
The double pike was well performed. Controlled that one step out. The round off 1.5 punch front layout. Solid height and distance on that pass. The final tumbling pass, a double tuck, a little bit low, pulled it around, finished the routine strong. There's some deliberating over on balance beam. I bet it's over whether or not they can give her a series, because her second skill didn't even touch the beam.
Yeah, certainly that's going to affect her start value, and certainly Arkansas is going to hope they don't count that, because I suspect it's going to be their lowest score of this rotation. You can see the judges got the score pad out. It's like calculus sometimes, I'm telling you. Tough job being a judge.
Got to be critical. Sometimes you're giving girls scores you really don't want to because they made a mistake. You want to see these kids succeed.
Yep, and you got to do it. And they gave her an 8.9 for that last beam routine for Kiara Glover, and that is devastating to see the 9.2, which they're going to have to count the 9.2, which clearly is a very low score. And Sydney Dillard, who was last up for them, has an incredible amount of pressure going into this beam routine. Her first year here at Arkansas, she came in as a walk-on, and all she did from there was join the 2013 SEC All-Freshman team. Her high score on this event this season is a 9.875, and you can see the deliberating continues. And this is awful. I've been in this situation on pommel horse, which is the men's version of the balance beam. It's our tough event. And when you're up there and you're about ready to go and you feel like you're ready to raise your hand, and then you've got to kind of step off. It's like a batter in the batter's box, kind of stepping out of the batter's box to try to regroup. And you can see she's talking to Coach Sam over there. And I don't know what she's telling her, Alicia, but probably trying to keep her calm.
I've been in that exact situation, standing there getting ready to mount. Judge is taking forever. You're trying to like stay focused and positive, and you're just like, I just want to get on the beam. Somebody just let me go. So it's all about how you gauge yourself. Front layout, step out, back handspring layout, fighting for it.
Wow, good fight.
She struggled with that in warm-up. I watched her repeat that multiple times, but she fought for it. She was not getting off that beam.
I talked to Coach Sam Snyder. You can see on the left of your screen in the pink top before this competition. She talked to us, Alicia, about those routines they did in practice and about how they had to do 5 in a row. You could see her cheering on her gymnast and how consistent they were. And it's got to be so frustrating as a coach when you know in practice you're doing what you got to do and you can't get it to translate to the meet. You got to think at some point, if they keep training that way, it's going to end up manifesting itself on the competition floor at some point.
it's almost worse being a coach because you can't do anything about it. You're just there as a bystander waiting to see what they do. And she was an athlete, so to know that she's in her head thinking, oh, this needs to be done, this be done, and then as a coach, you can't even help your athlete out to help them stay on the beam. It is so frustrating because all of these girls have such great potential on balance beam. They just need to find their confidence. Last skill, round off 1.5, and she sticks it. She was trying to make that routine count.
So a couple small errors during the course of that routine, but in the end, she sticks the dismount, and in the end, that's exactly what they need. They just need a hit.
The back handspring layout step out is what they're struggling on. She drops her left shoulder, but she is fighting for it. Those arm circles are a slight deduction, but it's not nearly as much as a fall, which would be 5/10. And then she sticks that landing and holds it extra long to make sure the judges know she didn't move.
So they survive the end of the beam rotation. We go back over to the floor. Becca Schugel, you're number 2 in the all-around after 2 rotations behind Zaziski from Arkansas. And they need a big score here as well. 9-8 plus could potentially close that gap.
Becca's been really consistent for Missouri, and she just constantly puts up big skills like that round up back handspring triple full, 1 flip, 3 twists, and she keeps delivering. Switch ring to cat double to wolf full. Missouri is actually coached by Casey Jo McPherson, previously Casey Jo McGee, who is actually a former Arkansas gymnast herself. So she's back on home stomping grounds.
And there she is.
Schugel is really working it tonight. Sticking passes, getting some ups. She knows that Arkansas is struggling. She's trying to give her team some of those points that they missed out on earlier. Last tumbling pass. Round up back handspring, double full punch front, and she nails it. Good rotation of floor.
Not bad. Heimseth, her teammate, put up a 9.725 right before. I fully expect this would go higher than that.
There wasn't much for judges to deduct from. A little bit form here and there, but those would be minute deductions compared to everything else.
So Becca Schugel trying to keep her team in it and trying to keep herself in the all-around. So an eventful third rotation. The balance beam takes a couple more victims, but Sydney Dillard throws a lifeline to Arkansas, and we'll see if they held on to that lead after 3. So things just got a lot more interesting here in Fayetteville as Arkansas has given back a good chunk of that lead that they carried into that third rotation. They have a 146.6 to 146.35 for Missouri. Just a 0.25 lead, Alicia. And again, it's the same old story. We don't want to keep pounding on it, but the balance beam claims a couple more victims for Arkansas.
It is definitely the make or break event, and it's unfortunate to say that because Arkansas was coming into this with great momentum. They were doing so well, and it's in their heads now. I think they need to be training twofold to make sure they get over this and get back to where they should be with their confidence.
And meanwhile, for Missouri, Schugel put up a 9.75 in that anchor spot for the Missouri Tigers. So they closed that gap a little bit, but they got a little more work to do in this last rotation. Now, in that last rotation, we saw Erin Fryer lead off the Arkansas Razorback. She did a great job. We want to break down her routine this week to her routine last week, Alicia, and kind of talk about from a judging perspective where those errors may or may not have been.
So you can see the scores at 9.15 versus a 9.8. And those were obviously, she had a fall last week, but this week you can see the difference between the two routines. Solid control on those full turns. The timing is just a little bit off. You can see she was moving a little bit quicker February 20th versus Kentucky than she was tonight. Taking her time, making things very intentional. No balance check there, but she also took out a quarter turn tonight and kept it straight on the beam. This is where she struggled, the connection series. Back handspring, layup step out. She was on, back handspring, layup step out. She lost it last week. I think the extra pressure sets the routine made them count for Erin. She got up, was the team's leader on the first up, and she knew she needed the routine to count. Catching back up. Even in the routine last week, she had soft legs that just weren't very finished. She could have been a little bit tighter. The connection of the blind landing on that jump. It's called a yang bo, after a Chinese gymnast who performed that very well. The hitch kick to dismount. The dismount tonight was a little bit better than last week. Just all in all, the routine was better performed. She was more confident, and she was trying to make the first team up, make the best one for Arkansas.
So Erin Fryer puts up that 9.8, her season best on the balance beam, and they needed it. That was the high score for Arkansas on that event in the third rotation. Trying to keep it loose are the Arkansas Razorbacks as they head into the fourth and final rotation, trying to hang on to that lead over Missouri. We got ourselves a battle here in Fayetteville, Arkansas. The Missouri Tigers come in to the Razorbacks' house, and going into the last event, they only trail by 0.25. Arkansas will finish on floor exercise, however, which is a great event for them. They currently rank in the top 10 in the country, and we will see Missouri and Allison Heimsmith, who is starting off for that team, on the balance beam. This is a tough task to ask Missouri to come from behind against the Arkansas Razorbacks in their house against an event where Arkansas is in the top 10 in the country. But you know what? That's what it's all about in the SEC. Things are not easy. If you want your first ever SEC win as a member of the SEC, you're going to have to earn it, Shannon Welker.
Switch leap gainer layout, and she just couldn't stay on. There was even a slight balance check after the switch leap, causing a break in the connection.
Not the way the Tigers want to start out the balance beam. Again, they can drop the low score, but that means the next 5 in a row have just got to knock it out of the park.
Just can't seem to find her footing. Balance check on the back handspring layout step out. Jump connections. Trying to finish the routine strong without any more deductions. A front full. Turns out of the dismount, try to salute quickly so she doesn't lose any tense on the steps.
They will need to recover from that rough start, will Missouri. We go over to the floor exercise, and that's Stephanie Cannizzaro. And if anybody on this team was destined to be an Arkansas Razorback, it's this young lady. Years ago, when she was just in middle school, her grandfather, Tom Denomi, there they are together, gave his card to then women's athletic director Bev Lewis at a golf function and said, my young granddaughter is going to be a great gymnast, and you need to recruit her someday. They're her parents, Steve and Kathy Cannizzaro. And lo and behold, Coach Mark Cook held on to that card, and years later finally thought, you know what, I got to call and see how this girl turned out. Well, here she is, and it happened just weeks after Kathy Cannizzaro's grandfather, Tom Denomi, passed away, and she felt like, that is a sign my daughter is going to be an Arkansas Razorback.
No joke, that just gave me goosebumps.
Pretty cool.
Huge double pike. Being a parent, it is never easy watching your kid perform. Just like being a coach, you can't control anything that they're doing. So you're just sitting there, just fingers crossed, like, come on, babe, you got this.
It's a horrible feeling. I was a gymnast. I know the pressure of being a gymnast, but I had to watch my sister compete, and she was a high-level gymnast as well, and I hated it. I couldn't even watch my sister do it. It was too stressful. I know how those parents feel.
Taking her time to catch her breath before getting ready for that last tumbling pass. Arkansas has a lot of depth on floor exercise, hence why they have such a high national ranking. strong here. Round off 1.5 punch layout, and she crushes it. Great kickoff to the last rotation for Arkansas.
Mom and Dad love it. Great start for Arkansas on floor. They can take a deep breath finally. You can see Mom shake her head and take that exact breath we just talked about.
Round off back handspring double pike, and that was high. A little bit uncontrolled on the landing, but she pushed that back leg out so she wasn't going anywhere else after that. Nice double tuck. Parents loved it. Mom even gave a boom. She's like,
saw
yes.
that. When you get a boom from Mom, you know it's good.
Mom booms are the best.
Now over to the balance beam, and the pressure is on this senior. She has absolutely got to hit if they have any hope of hanging with the bats.
Aggressive series though. She whipped her arms and she was not gonna move. As a senior, those are things you kind of learn along the way. You know your body, you know when you feel a little bit off and how to compensate for whatever's going on.
Laura put up a 9.875 last week when they hosted Auburn, her season high. She's going to need every bit of that score, if not more, to give them a chance tonight.
So far, so good. And the dismount, she sticks it. Gainer, full.
There's one. They need 4 more. 1 hit, 4 left to go. That was a pressure hit right there.
The final skill of her routine. A 1-leg swing to flip off the side with a full twist.
Good competition for Kapler. She currently sits in the 3rd position in the all-around standings as well, just behind her teammate, Becca Schugel. Sydney Dillard, who was the savior for Arkansas on that beam rotation, anchored it, put up a hit when they desperately needed one.
A lot of sass from these girls on these floor routines. A front laid out Rudy, a little bit uncontrolled on the landing, but she got it fully around, so she will get credit for the skill.
Cannizzaro put up a 9.825 for their first gymnast, up a great starting score.
Beautiful switch ring. It showcases her flexibility and her power. It shows how much height she gets off of the floor and the amplitude of getting a full 180 split with a bent leg in the back. Full front layout. You know your team's going pretty well when the judges are smiling back at you.
If you get a smile out of the judges, you're doing something right.
Taking that last deep breath. Round off back handspring. 1.5 punch layout. She performs it with ease. Another strong floor routine for Arkansas. Surely making up for what happened on beam.
Yeah, Sydney delivers 2 for 2, the Razorbacks.
The first tumbling pass is the laid out Rudy where she gets around, but she just isn't solid on her feet, causing to take that side step. The tumbling passes after that followed suit without any issue.
Not the biggest tumbling we've seen tonight, Alicia. Maybe playing it a little conservative in this, with the second girl.
It wasn't the hardest tumbling you've seen, but those connections give you the bonus you need to start from a 10, and a 10's a 10.
So the night is over for Sydney. We go back to the balance beam. Tia Albritton, freshman out of Garland, Texas, and Zenith Elite Gymnastics. She's done beam every meet this season and only beam for Missouri.
Front aerial to back handspring. It'll be hard to say if they're going to give her that as a connection pass. She did have a slight pause, but her arms were still moving, which technically allows them to say it still counts. But if judges are going to be sticklers, like sometimes the way judges are, they might not give it to her.
You're not on your home court, so you're not going to get the foul call, so to speak, but we'll see. 9.8 for Kapler. So good recovery after the rough start from Heimseth. Heimseth, by the way, put up an 8.95. So absolutely cannot count that score.
Front pike toss. All that remains is the dismount. A little bit sloppy with the legs, but she finished the routine strong. The front pike toss. Difficult skill. The blind landing, you're tossing off of 1 foot. The dismount, see the leg separation and crossing. Be a little bit of a deduction there.
Here we go with our all-around leader, Paige Zaziski, the freshman, trying to help close things out for Arkansas.
She's just so cute. I love watching her.
It's funny you mentioned that. Shannon Hunt, Paige's club coach in high school, is here. I had a chance to catch up with her before the meet. She said, I asked her for something interesting, and she said, you know, when Paige, beautiful double, ooh, little trouble on the double pike. When Paige was at the gym, she could never put mirrors up because Paige has never met a mirror that she didn't like. And after, right when she was ready to go off to college, she rolled in with the mirrors, and Paige said, really? I leave and you put up the mirrors.
Hey, you got to see what you're doing and making sure it looks good. Second tumbling pass. Tuck. That one was a little, way more controlled than her first tumbling pass. Can't let that adrenaline get the best of you.
Sydney Dillard right before her put up a 9.8.
Going for the last tumbling pass. Front layout, front full. I don't know if she was going to try to connect something out of that, but she decided not to at the last second.
Took a little step sideways. Great competition for Paige Zaziski. We'll see if not only that is enough to help her team win tonight, but also if it's enough to help hang on to a very small all-around lead into this fourth rotation.
Just a little too much power on that double pike. She almost over-rotated. She landed on her heels instead of kicking out and landing flat-footed. The last tumbling pass, the front layout, punch front full, just a little sidestep. But the tumbling was performed and executed with good, tight body.
Kelly Martin, another freshman for Missouri, getting ready to go. Missouri has a very young team. At different points in the season, freshmen have accounted for half of their scores, which is very, very unusual, especially for a team in the SEC. And they have a big class coming in, 6 more freshmen coming in next year. So certainly the future looks good, and this team is definitely trending in the right direction.
Slight balance check on the infamous full turn. Probably one of the most difficult skills on balance beam. In theory, it seems easy, but it messes with you, and it gets a lot of athletes. Jump connection, changement, fancy word for switching your feet in the air. Straddle 3/4.
Tia Albritton put up a 9.75.
Stuck dismount, a little bit piked in the hips, but Missouri's thrilled about that beam routine. All they want is consistency.
Consistency, and they're carrying it to another rotation here as the freshman answers.
The hitch kick, gainer full. You can see the pike coming down in the second part right before her feet hit the ground. All she needs to do is squeeze her butt and lift her chest up. It would have been a solid dismount.
Here we go with Samantha Nelson, the 4th gymnast up for Arkansas on floor. Paige Zaziski only a 9.675. So a couple of those steps that you talked about, Alicia, during the course of Paige's floor routine, obviously not by design, and certainly giving away some tenth to the judges.
Sam Nelson, my former teammate back from Massachusetts.
Tell you what, if she can tumble at all like Alicia Sacramone, she is going to do just fine. I've seen you tumble, Alicia. It's pretty good.
See those little dark marks on her back? That's from cupping. Trying to work out that scar tissue you have in there. Nice double pike. Oh, the butt bounce. Second tumbling pass coming your way. Round off 1.5 punch layout. These connection passes are giving these girls bonus. Taking it down south, South America.
It feels like anywhere but down south right here in Arkansas today, I'll tell you that.
Round up against her double tuck. A little bit kicked out early in that landing, but she was high and she controlled it. First tumbling pass, she performs a very high and controlled double pike. See, she's happy about it. Telling herself to breathe before she goes. Amazing. 1.5 punch front layout.
Beautiful.
The last tumbling pass. A double tuck. Just slipped down a little bit, but she picked it up real quick, making sure the judges maybe didn't notice it.
Quickly over to the balance beam and senior Brianna Conkle. She is the gymnast that is in for Shauna Miller, freshman that is hurt coming into this competition. Very important lineup position. Since that first gymnast, Heimseth, made that mistake, they have been very good. Kelly Martin, the last gymnast up, put up a 9.8.
Rock solid on that back handspring layout. Stone cold on that face. She is focused and determined. Full turn, telling you, real hard.
Tell you what, Arkansas is putting up good scores on the floor, but not scores that make it impossible for the Missouri Tigers to possibly steal this one.
A nice full 180 split switch leap to straddle 3/4. Dismount. Punch 1.5, sidestep on the landing, but that is not an easy one to do just from a run and punch.
You don't see a lot of Rudies. You see a lot of back 1.5 twists, but you don't see a lot of front 1 twists off balance beam.
The series, rock solid. She knew she was on and was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. The full 180 split to the 3/4. She has great flexibility. And the punch, 1.5 twist. Difficult because you do have the height of the beam, but you still need to give yourself an extra couple feet to get the laid out and twist around.
Here we go, back over to the floor. Heather Ellswick. She competed on bars and vault already. This evening's had a good competition.
Coach Cook said she's a great kid and a great leader.
Depending on what Missouri does on beam, they may need these last 2 gymnasts to hit on floor exercise.
A huge double pike. I want to know how she gets her hair to not move.
A lot of hairspray, Alicia, come on.
Does she have like a bump it in? It kind of looks like it. My poof never looked like that. Second tumbling pass coming up. Round off 1.5 punch layout. Hamming it up a bit for the crowd. All that remains is the last pass. Double tuck, almost identical tumbling for all the Arkansas athletes.
Clean routine, and they needed that one. This meet is not over. Brianna Conkle for Missouri on beam, 9.825. So Ellswick trying to keep pace.
The 1.5 punch layup, slight leg separation. The angle we have, judges don't, so we get to be a little more critical than they do. Finishing it strong with a double tuck.
On beam for Missouri.
Arkansas is highly ranked in floor exercise because of consistency. And when you all put up solid, almost identical routines, it makes that a little bit easier to happen.
Becca Schugel out of Eagan, Minnesota, the anchor for the Missouri Tigers on beam. She's also in contention to win the all-around today.
Back handspring, lad, step out.
Wow.
I am surprised you made that. Her first back handspring was so crooked. I'm very impressed that she stayed on.
And her foot was literally off the end of the beam. Great fight. She needs a 9.875 to take the all-around. Unfortunately, that big wobble on the end of the beam probably will cost her the all-around, but can she hang in there enough for her team to steal their first ever SEC win?
Not much remaining for her in this routine.
Gotta stick it.
And she sticks it.
A lot of happy Tigers over on the balance beam mat, but I don't know if that will be enough. They might need a little bit of help from Arkansas's last gymnast on the floor.
First back handspring was crooked, second back handspring crooked, the layup was even more crooked.
I swear her foot landed on the side of the beam. Unbelievable fight.
Her back foot must be insanely strong to grip it and not fall.
And now on
Props to that, and finished the routine strong. Didn't let that bobble get the best of her.
And back over to the floor, the anchor, Amanda Wellick, who has had less than a great competition tonight. She struggled on the balance beam. She struggled on the bars. But I do think that she needs to put up a hit. Depending on what Becca Schugel gets for her beam score, they may need a decent score right here.
She needs to turn the page, and she needs to just put a solid, normal floor routine up. Strong double pike.
Becca Schugel puts up a 9.75 on that beam routine.
It all comes down to these last two tumbling passes.
This is how gymnastics should be.
That final breath. Handspring, front foot, punch front layout. Gorgeous half to straddle full. Let's see how she finishes this last routine. Double tuck. Cakewalk.
So we're not sure where they stood coming into that routine. They may have already closed it out, but it was so close. But Amanda Wellick has probably removed all doubt after what I think she would classify as a disastrous competition for her personally. She came back at the end, gathered herself, and hit a great routine.
Recapping the routine, starting off very strong with that double pike. Well-controlled step out.
Wellick needed a 9.975 to win the all-around. She did do the all-around, which I don't know if that's going to be enough, but Coach Mark Cook has a few final words for his Razorbacks on what was another up-and-down competition for them, but in the end, they finish on an up note. I wonder if that conversation right there, Alicia, has to do with balance beam.
There's no doubt about it. He's probably asking, what do you think happened? And she's like, I don't know, man. I'm not on that beam.
It's tough. It's tough. Shannon Welker giving the last few comments to his team. And I think, would you classify, Alicia, this competition as a continuation of that consistency that Coach Welker talked about over the last couple weeks?
This Missouri team has definitely been building momentum. And that is huge in gymnastics, especially approaching postseason. They are gunning to make it to regionals for the first time. And I think Coach Welker is definitely pleased. There was only maybe one major mistake. And everything else was, they've just been progressing slowly but surely each week.
It is just those little things. And there we have it. Arkansas 195.875 to Missouri's 195.275. So right about 0.6 of a point where the lead was after 2 rotations. But it was in doubt up until the last couple routines, which makes it exciting. And you know, I talked to Shannon Welker before the competition, and it was interesting because I wanted to know when was the last time Missouri had made the regionals. And I said, if you guys make it this year, will this be your first time since you've been to Missouri? And he looked at me and he said, John, it's not if we make it to regionals. They are in the mix. The top 36 ranked teams in the country will make it to the regionals. They currently sit as the 23rd ranked team. So nothing is certain. They have 2 home meets left, so they can up that RQS that we talked about at the beginning of the meet. But it looks very likely that they will end that streak of Missouri not making it to regionals, which is a great accomplishment for them and Coach Shannon Welker. We are going to wrap this competition up and break it down a little more when we come back to Barnhill Arena on the campus of the University of Arkansas. The chalk has settled here in Barnhill Arena, and Missouri comes close, but just can't quite close it out at the end. Arkansas takes this home meet, 195.825 to 195.275 for Missouri. It was an interesting competition, and for Arkansas, again, the balance beam reared its ugly head and almost cost them this competition and almost gave Missouri their first SEC win since they have joined the SEC a few years ago, which I know would be just another notch on Coach Shannon Welker's belt to make that accomplishment. If you're wondering where Alicia Sacramone is, she is doing double duty here because she is out on the floor getting ready to interview Coach Mark Cook. I want to give a shout out to our normal third person in this group, Ashley Lee, who unfortunately is sitting on a frozen tarmac, I believe in Texas somewhere. So unfortunately she's not here, but we're glad that Alicia is able to step in and knock it out of the park for us with this interview. We'll be going to her in a few moments. We're doing the individual results. You can see the teams getting their awards. Brianna Conkle has earned herself some flowers. So, you know, for Shannon Welker and his team, a lot to build on. We talked about the little things that they need to improve on. Again, their hitting routines, but just those little things, those landings, as he's talking to his assistant coach, Casey Joe McPherson, former Arkansas Razorback. There's Paige Zaziski, our all-around champion in this competition, the freshman. Some of the highlights from today's competition, some of the best performances. Wellick, who had a tough competition on bars and beam, knocked it out on vault and floor here with a 9.925. Almost nails that landing, just a small slip of the feet there. Otherwise, very good. Paige Zaziski, our all-around champion, with a big bar routine for Arkansas, 9.925 there as well. Beautiful lines. And when Missouri needed a big beam score, they got one from Brianna Conkle, 9.825 for her in a clutch position. Wasn't quite enough as it turns out, but she didn't know that when she raised her hands. That was big for them. And Wellick again on the floor exercise closes it out with a virtually flawless floor routine and a 9.9.
And overall?
Well, I thought we were really good on 3 events. You know, again, we're still struggling a bit on balance beam, but, you know, we'll get back in the gym, we'll work harder, and we'll correct those mistakes and maybe change the lineup a little bit. But girls had a lot of intensity. They were very aggressive tonight, and I was really pleased with a lot of performances.
I watched them in warm-up on balance beam. They had a few struggles, but when they were hitting, they were hitting. Do you think if once they get that momentum back, they're going to be golden for postseason?
Yeah, I just think that, we've lost a little confidence in that event. We just got to get the mind tight, but we'll be fine. Like I said, we might change the lineup. We have a couple other options. We might work on it a little bit to get a little more consistency on that event, but we'll fix it and we'll be fine.
Wishing you all the best from the rest of the season.
Appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Alicia. Thank you, Mark Cook. He gets the win. Wasn't always pretty at times. Got to get the mind tight. Got to get the mind tight, and that is very important in gymnastics, as it is in every sport, but maybe more so here when you got to get up on that 4-inch wide balance beam. We're going to try to get our minds tight. We're not done yet. We're going to finish things out. We're going to wrap it up when we return to Barnhill Arena here on the campus of the University of Arkansas. Welcome back to Fayetteville, Arkansas, as we wrap up this top 25 SEC matchup. The number 17 Arkansas Razorbacks defeat the number 23 Missouri Tigers 195.825 to 195.275 as we see the two head coaches. Gymnastics is very unique in this respect, is that it's a very tight-knit family, and a lot of times the coaches share ideas and hang out after the competition's over. It's a tough sport, and everybody needs all the help they can get, and they even yuck it up for the camera every once in a while. Our winner again in the all-around tonight, Paige Zaziski, and she was solid from start to finish, and she came out with a bang on the vault. And that 9.9, just a small hop in the landing, her only mistake there. On the bar, she was virtually perfect, huge release moves. Almost goes 10.0, she has a 9.925 there. And then on beam, when things looked ugly for Arkansas and looked like the meet was in jeopardy, the freshman answers, not a huge score, but a 9.7, still consistent. And she finished off on the floor exercise with some beautiful tumbling. A little trouble on a couple of the landings, but it was enough to hold off Becca Schugel for the all-around. And Alicia Sacramone caught up with our all-around champion. Let's go to you, Alicia.
Paige, congratulations. How does it feel to get your first all-around title as a freshman?
Feels pretty good. I mean, I'm just going out there to support the team and give them all I can, and that's about it.
So I see you hamming it out there. You're having a good time. Do you get a little more stressed, or are you a little more carefree when you're competing? What do you think is your best attribute when you get out there?
I just like to have fun because gymnastics is fun to me, so I just like to flip around and just get in my happy place.
Awesome. You tied the Arkansas freshman bar record with a 9.925. That double layout is the best double layout I've ever seen. Can you give me some pointers for my kids back home? I'm trying to coach how to do it.
Just have fun while you're swinging, get them toes up, and just land.
Awesome, Paige. Thank you so much. Congratulations again, and good luck with the rest of the season.
Thank you.
Oh, the innocence of youth, her happy place. She found it. Upcoming telecast, we see Arkansas gets a shot at a top 10 team. The Georgia Bulldogs and Alabama will get a chance at Missouri. So the road doesn't get any easier for Missouri to get that first SEC win. And the SEC championships, of course, March 24th. It's going to be a battle. It's almost like a mini national championships for this conference. So many good teams. Autographs for the future Arkansas Razorbacks, as we see some young gymnasts getting their opportunity to meet some of their heroes. Again, it wasn't a pretty meet all the way through. There were some struggles for both sides. But Arkansas, again, number 17, manages the victory. And I'm curious to know, Alicia Sacramone Quinn, what are your final thoughts on this evening's competition?
You know, it's all about timing. You want to be peaking right at the end of the postseason. Right now, there's still some mistakes here and there from each team. All they need to do is polish and pay attention to fine details. I think once both teams do that, they're going to have an excellent postseason and really put up the results they're looking for with solid beam routines and good vault, bars, floor, everything you're looking for in a solid SEC gymnastics competition.
Well, we're coming down the home stretch of the regular season for Alicia Sacramone Quinn. I'm John Roethlisberger, and of all the broadcast teams on the SEC ESPN network, we're definitely one of them. So long, everybody.